Hello, Google. There was a recorded database crime that has various natures of courts and intercampuses through time. Various natures of campuses, not just training campuses of fire campuses, EMS campuses. Each age of campuses is connected to an on-off campus identity theft crime method. That is interfamilies, and people don't realize. They're making the same outcomes, natures and methods of child abuses, of elderly abuses, and all maintain fit to roles with it by a method that was effectively doing it undiscerned and making everyone all value it with fact treatment nature, convictions, sequence nature, quality treatments, abridged fact treatment nature roles. We have election crimes. They're investing you to roles with physical delusions regarding the integrity of our organized crime countering bodies, like the FBI, like the CIA, like this Leahy family, if he has a badge or not, recorded and confessed, involved with the various natures of courts, drug clicks, identity theft clicks, them pretending not to realize, and how through time, because they've been invested to try, but they were victim predators, but as they were coming up, leading as kids, leading up to their jobs with courts and with police forms and with jails and with campuses. And they're also recorded criminally pretending and with physical delusions, but with the identity theft acts, with complete strangers pretending I'm holding on to people's names from the past as recorded perjury acts and methods and natures and roles, the various natures of courts. They're making mistakes on purpose. They're with other nations' police juxtaposed. Systemic psychology corruption with databases with various natures of courts and with DACA through time and with prisons. They're with offensive physical delusions and theories and blaming others for that, which is for a crime method that is keeping the sensibilities of men and of women liars and roles exploiting. In other words, they're not following mandated law because they're not letting various natures of courts recorded together criminally involved with the campuses and with the areas with crime acts, and then with ones in cases reported. They're pretending not to realize that, and they're just going out with their jobs because they were lifted as victim predators the same way they were originally. They're recorded using interbranch Facebook pages and campus ones for sex crime acts, medical crime acts, with fake news, and with their private police and their family members recording involved with crimes with the principal sex offender, with the corners of that street, leading up to with crimes with investigators. Someone at CCSU, by the way, the whole time I was boxing, because I've been being extorted since before the Trade Center attack, a little before, after, since now, because they've been for a straight line not letting me report, strangers asking me to help with interbranch police and military police that involve them with offensive evidence reception crimes, various natures of crimes, crime uses of people and crime roles with people from my town so they don't even know. They don't even know so then they need to pretend those intercity police associated with Justin Klavinskis and his wife Lucinda Alderuccio or Klavinskis, or I don't know if she's what her name is. They also demonstrated they have their kids involved in this, in the PTO, criminally involved, and with more sex offenders and medical offenders and military involved with identity theft crime acts, and with two Mendez brothers, identity theft crime acts with a principal sex offender, with the policing of the schools further. This is also people criminally involved with narratives, with guns and with their sales, and with these offensive, pretending to perceive things, orchestrating things to look like Also, Eric Jensen and two Carone brothers recorded and confessed involved with crimes before they were in CCSU with people associated with the interbranch CCSU crime acts. Whole bunch of natures of crimes because they're stacking people. And they're not, they're doing this every year because they're keeping, these are also people with crime acts with federal criminal co-defendants of former director of the FBI. And that also demonstrated, recorded, and confessed involved with various natures of FBI in the area and juxtaposed uses of overt criminal enterprises, criminal insidiousness natures acts with them. They're also recorded pretending people are making grandiose allegations as a crime method, not letting the interbranch crime acts be the topic. See acts. See, we have an organized crime method maintaining criminally foreign influence opinion natures the same way they did there, here, everywhere since before modern nations. This was entrenched here. A whole bunch of nations forced to share markets, positions, identities of jobs of law that are fake, that are with a database crime role. Fake news crime acts also reliant upon social media to quash our voices. They also relied upon the interbranch social media rape threats using New Britain Superior Court's rape website with a ERICKNERR, then crime acts with the principal sex offender to force him in a case while he was still being forced at the school, recorded, and with other police crime acts, but they didn't hit that. There's a Officer Poisson, Mark Poisson, recorded and confessed with physical delusions with crime acts with evidences, identity theft crime acts with physical delusions juxtaposed, criminally involved with the courts and with the other police officers with the sex crime acts before that, and then with that they're all they're doing Miss Prizzy and pretending to play stupid. They're also criminally using the theater narratives with we have no integrity, and it's recorded being pretended, and what they're sharing doing this is leaning on like this Leahy family, a Dr. Zeman, a Dr. Dewberry, a Dr. Dingleberry. All these people recorded and confessed involved with crimes with Anthony Agman stealing my identity through time. Recorded crime rolls and confessed crime rolls with drugs and stuff like that. Sequence shifts with Domain Brothers, people tied to them, and him in my math class. I had nothing to do with them. The one exception, then was 2 seconds. That's what they use for offensive evidence crimes through time. Though John Maiano also recorded and confessed criminally involved with the fake news crime acts and with the crimes with the courts and with the kids, criminally with that, all different ways, and with intercampuses. See, we have policing raised criminally foreign influence also involved with the elderly homes, how they need to hide lie progressions tied to databases. This is also tied to houses near as Anthony Agman and the Carone brothers and see, now the Cianfaglione family and the O'Brien family are also demonstrated, recorded, and confessed by CCSU criminally involved with the family next to them. I don't know. I never had anything to do with them. I explained the one exception, and that kid was in my. I never had one conversation and didn't sit next to him in my 6th grade class, which has Eric Klotz, also recorded and confessed criminally involved with them with the Morrow family, and with people criminally involved with overt criminal enterprises, crimes with WFSB, with the principal sex offenders also tied to crimes through time with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso, and with their crime also with online still with Eric Miller and other police recorded and confessed and demonstrated criminally involved with Jerry Kurz and his brother Michael Kerr and their mother, and various natures of insurance police and tied to West Hartford and military police and families associated with an Eric Burges, next to also fire departments involved, and inspectors interstate, New York, involved with the child predators. The mother of one further tied to doctors. They used a triage to prevent me from telling on how I caught the police. Recorded. They recorded themselves. You're not supposed to record the police. They recorded themselves, forging names, switching names. Crimes with the Dillon family, with confessions of my last and new neighbors, and demonstrated tied to when they left also, with Confederate flag themed crimes, sex crime acts rolls, drug crime rolls with kids, with evidence crimes with the police formed criminally involved. See, that's what they're using to motivate it. Then they motivate people to make confessions from drug cliques and stuff like that, little creepy cliques, all fakes. Identity theft cliques that are really behind the streams of courts each day. Fake integrity. They have everyone trying to do, they have the sensibilities of everybody as criminal insidious in its nature. This is recorded. I'm not even a lawyer, police form, criminals. This is very critical that this is understood, because they're preventing mandated law while they're pretending to be for it. And it's recorded how they're keeping the forced sex crime acts and juxtaposed medical crime acts and identity thefts and it forced attached to relationships in the past. To me, lies spread through kids with forced sex offenders still with the same schools. And with the principal sex offender they force like that. The only reason he got caught is with something other. With the same thing. And his doctors also with sex crime acts and online policing crime acts with foreign and domestic. See, the foreign and domestic are tied to fact treatments where they're already negotiated as all knaves together, one sick identity, modern nations, and they're all as liars, forced. And they're both forced to pretend integrity by opinion natures that never had one free campus. So how could we have opinion natures true? Because no one's letting sequence shifts demonstrated. The sequence shifts show the courts are pretending they have the right to defend themselves and the right to use the lies that they don't. They're already extensive perjury rackets, torture rackets, Constitution abridged, pretending other screens. Fake patriotism, weapons, breaching tools. As victims, but as victim predators for the same child abuses method. This is recorded, but they're not letting people speak unless they make opinions, unless they have theories, because that leaves them with their offensive physical delusions and theories uncharged originally and still with psychology. And with that tied to courts. Database solution stacking method, torture methods where they're faking evidences, recorded against innocent people, recorded, proven, but it's further recorded, but they're not letting it reported. There are people in prisons right now and are going to court right now, even people that did things, but they didn't do it like they said. They're attaching lie progressions that are maintained, each of the branches criminally foreign influenced, as victim predators, raised as different natures of child abuse, facilitated to this, specifically where and how this is about the sequence shifts and about the evidences crimes not let reported. That not let reported by the interbranch is interbranch needing to pretend integrity, where and how that ties to area crimes. See, this juxtaposed is the cause of 99.9% of the crimes. See, but we're not having to have this demonstrated. So what they call shadow banning and stuff like that, we already have the laws. But see, we have already the defenses of jobs of legal nature and of crime countering bodies already criminally foreign influence to collusion with areas caused 99.9% of the crimes. In other words, roles with crime acts and crime methods being ignored, pretended not realized. So what they have identity thefts, various natures of courts, recorded delusions wrought, recorded switching names, forging names. Because when someone comes with the right fact treatment nature that reveals this, they can't defend what they already been doing through time, and they can't defend their fact treatments now. So Google, what we need is, so Google's a victim of organized crime counting bodies like former director of the FBI involved with his co-defendants and proven federal criminals that lied about my father through time with kids in my. This is also recorded, proving that he lied about my father through time criminally, and they were involved with pension thieves, drugs and drug clicks and stuff like that, uses of criminal uses of job sites, exploitations of how we have shared various nations of policing that obviously can't tell on each other, and overt criminal enterprises juxtaposed, and them needing to hide lie progressions tied to that, and exploiting that with personal, group, and overall maintained criminal collusion, criminal foreign influences, areas, states, and areas, mass criminal insidiousness nature roles. This is what it comes down to with the topic of slavery and this database crime that originally and still is recorded and confessed involved with intercampuses crimes with houses next to and people's and with like fire departments and stuff like that, with sex crime acts also roles, and with wire crime roles with the town offices and intercity, and with Wethersfield police chief's family, foreign and domestic. His daughter, I never met her in my life. John Mayano recorded and confessed, involved criminally with drugs and databases, identity thefts, sequence shifts, slanders, crimes with fake news crime acts, and criminal crimes with the policing intercity through time. Real punk people too. A real bad person. This Alex Miles. These are insidious people who are with the sensibilities they're telling people that are good, because they're maintaining recorded consciously aggression criminally through all different kinds of natures of people too, like gay leaders of the kids, juxtaposed with their roles recorded using that as roles with the sex offenders, further recorded with the kids, and more complicated ones with the women involved who are medical families criminally involved. And these people with offensive conspiracy theories that are recorded criminally used because they're forging names to fake the conversations. And they're just attaching me to fake conversations with them through time. This Leahy family and people in the Britain Superior Court involved with that. Also, Rick Chamfayone confessed and recorded that and demonstrated that involved with his crimes with his roles with the confessions and the crimes of an O'Brien family as police family, and of Sandy Hook as Sandy Hook prison family, tied to crimes with the principal sex offender, with database illusion stacking, with attaching everyone to fake conversations and illusions in their minds from the youngest grade. Then it was his recorded, confessed, and demonstrated how they had lie progressions tied to that each year. Also, when I was in 6th grade with these people involved with the federal crimes, also with the Kathy Tanzi, with them with pretending I had conversations about the CIA. They also have conspiracy theories where they say people have conversations about agencies and things like that. Russians and Americans use these conspiracy theories against our own people. In other words, fake identity thefts. They're fakes. They're making mistakes. They already made them in courts on purpose. They're already recorded before they were there, needing to hide the same finite, active, and progressive lies and sequence shifts, identity thefts roles against everyone through time. This is also recorded and confessed tied to programs involved with and these people involved criminally with Chris Walters, who also had a wedding that is recorded and confessed involved with evidence perception people that pretended to believe things by that, which the only reason I went there is because that's the only reason that was recorded. That's recorded. That's recorded that they're making mistakes on purpose with evidence perception, and I knew that's a complete stranger who I only know every once in a while with his roles with wire crimes with courts. And because since he was a kid, as a stranger, that gave me and my family an affidavit regarding this, and a Dillon family recorded and confessed involved with the child offenders and the drug cliques in my area criminally involved. Also, with the doctors with various natures of courts and prison cliques, like a Dr. Graham, a woman with also recorded physical delusions, criminal uses of theories of mental diagnosis. As a doctor, one of the doctors recorded criminally involved with sex offenders, with identity theft crime acts, again with physical delusions recorded. See, we have uncharged because we have like Pakistani families and other nations' families involved with, like a Damaro family also recorded and confessed involved with criminality with a police chief's family, and with this Miano family recorded and confessed involved with the recorded various natures of crime acts with fake news, fake sides of issues, identity thefts, news crime acts, putting fake things into. They pretend I had ties to a doctor when I was young. That wasn't at all. Mental diagnosis that when I was a doctor, that wasn't at all. With people that as doctors with their kids criminally involved, with this Anthony Agman, with Domain brothers that should never have been policed because of what they were recorded criminally involved with when I was a kid. Before they were in my class, then they were in my algebra class. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved criminally with drugs and identity theft crimes, and with a Leahy family. I didn't find out till after that because I don't know this guy, but it's recorded that I never had a conversation with him, and the other guy was involved with recorded physical and threats and abuses of me. The father of that kid, and using police and using evidence crimes. He's got physical delusions as a doctor of psychology, using triage places with a whole bunch of misprision people. They walk by you, they pretend they had a conversation with you. They forge names of a Dr. Shamsi Ali. Then they're with wire crimes, offensive, and you can see, because this is recorded, there's a whole crime methods recorded, because then you call them on the phone, they say, oh, we wouldn't do that. They hang up. It's recorded they do that. A Lombardo family also recorded and confessed involved with the rest of the people involved with Phil Cololo that recorded and confessed is involved with crimes with the Dr. Graham, the woman. She's also recorded and confessed involved with various natures of courts and their family members criminally involved with the middle school, and with houses and with businesses next to it, and with a private school next to it criminally involved, and with agencies and with training of police officers through time, which led to these men and women who are sick fakes. So we have to deal with crime acts. That's why we have to, because when we're not doing that, they're making overall, they're keeping overall convictions of a sick criminal insidiousness in its nature, and they're not allowing sequence shifts to be reported. They're not allowing mandated law. And when you look at that recorded, that demonstrates sensibilities that are recorded criminally using and pretending to care about me too. Pretending to care about women per a crime method recorded, keeping the sensibilities of women criminally involved, what is recorded, juxtaposed overt criminal enterprises using to spread with the rumors with this Joshua Julian. I never had anything to do with my life, tied to the Wethersfield school, the principal sex offender, when they were first forcing him to stay with the rest of them. Now, I'm not saying this kid's a sex offender, but he's a role with them because he's with the identity theft crime acts, clicks, switching narratives. Also, criminally involved with writing on my Facebook, and with identity thefts, with interbranch, with fake YouTube pages pretending to be me, fake Facebook pages pretending to be me, with the clicks, with the Facebook crime acts, with the sex crime acts, with their Facebook pages, with the New Britain Superior Court. Before that, Hartford Superior Court was already criminally involved with the former director of the FBI and with his lawyer and with various federal criminals associated with that court that offered my father that court to hold the deposition in because the former director of the FBI was one of the defendants. I didn't know that at the time, but I knew that people were making confessions to me about court police and about military police criminally involved. I didn't explain to them that also Justin Kovinskis made such. Also, that was his then now demonstrated tied to confessions repeated about Kuwaiti military. See, because these are all victim predator fake identities. Once they're defending that, each modern nation, including here, they can't defend that and their notions of integrity and counter what is keeping negative value nature progression state scenarios in collusion with databases, negative value nature progressions. As criminal insidious nature, suit and ties encounters that don't understand victim predators. So we have to have mandated law followed. We have databases, crimes, and crime methods where the FBI's integrity is fake. Where was his real integrity, where service to identity is real, but these are fake identities. So, and these are organized crime countering bodies that failed their initial obligations, which our history is about, why and how. And that's still entrenched. Our history is stolen in our face per methods pretending to care against people not reading or whatever like that. Because if you read, what they're presenting is physical delusions wrought, sequence shifting, and exactly what our founders wanted us to demonstrate was their forced voices, not their. In other words, they had to stick the surface value of the Constitution up and hide their roles with that. The extent of their roles with that. They had to leave it naive. George Washington, James Madison, they had to leave overt slavery in Connecticut right before the last battle of the Revolutionary War, even with the French generals' help. They could only counter, extort what was a whole bunch of nations as fake identities already here, forcing database relationships with laws that were so crazy, offensive evidence reception predators, all forced or hurt to roles, and then you're going to have to be fake theater roles. That's what made witch trials. That's what made overt slavery. That's what made overt slavery was to keep and so sick laws against everything. That's what made our criminally foreign influence zoning laws, the identity thefts of our founders recorded, wanted, told, glorified in our face. What motivates that was what is using theater that kept all victim predators intersciences and interbranch from off campuses. This is hurting each individual group together progressively and sequentially each year, each age of fact should be nature. Not one person has free speech, so we haven't had one free election, and we have everyone pretending other. with physical delusions, not let demonstrated because they're not letting the sequence shifts demonstrated. They're not letting recorded criminal uses of the FBI and of agencies recorded, let demonstrated. They're attaching people to fake conversations about agencies offensively. With this Leahy family involved with the courts of various natures, involved with further child sex offenders, and with their doctors, and with physical delusions, and with other nations, with policing associated with these crimes, with psychology uncharged originally and still. So now religion filled. There are also physical delusions with behavior and with their aggression, with the sequence shifts. Their aggression and their fake care and being forced to exploit exception nature, to exploit our identity's hierarchy, the hierarchy of the identity. So they're using aggression, pretending to be care. That's recorded too. Each of these parties, they're recorded involved with so many nations of crimes. They need it to look like they need to keep the parties fighting each other. Because each identity of legal nature is a victim predator that doesn't know how to respond to this fact-cheaping nature, because how our fact-cheaping nature is being exploited. That's one of the things it is always. So we have to examine the recorded physical delusions of psychology and the crime methods associated with natures associated with sick. Intersciences and internations like Russia and America with rackets with that recorded. Crime rolls with other nations like Pakistan with the Trade Center crime. And with our agencies with that. Like with the proven Trade Center attack context, sequence shift with with federal criminals, co-defendants of Robert Luskin in the 2006 case. After that part of that case was proven, sequence shift inside the Ninth Circuit, which was handed in on time stamped, hand delivered to New York ahead of time. Then in the Trade Center attack context, the panel of judges saw things time stamped, post dated to appear time stamped late before the panel of judges in the Trade Center attack context, and the night before also recorded and confessed criminally further involved with a Scalora family, with various agencies and police forms intercity, criminally involved with the kids through time, with the identity thefts and with uses of their roles with drugs and stuff like that, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated through time by people associated with them and by other means. These are people pretending to know me through time. This is also recorded and confessed, involved with criminal uses of Facebook, blocking people, and then take it, because they're also offensively typing things that are illusions so they can pretend these are offensive. They're the offensive evidence reception crimes. This, when you use color, that's an offensive evidence reception crime. They're criminally preventing us from demonstrating offensive evidence reception crimes with the fake integrity that they're pretending they think that people should sue to counter. When it's recorded, the only way we can counter it is by being allowed to have mandate followed. They're not doing this because they're evidence fabricating in courts offensively. They're switching names in courts and switching sequences so one can't counter because they don't have a name, and they have only lawyers that deal with types of law. And this is a crime method that is tactically, methodically maintaining already juxtaposed all roles with juxtaposed bonded fact-cheating nature racket, the bonded offensive fact-cheating nature crime roles, offensive physical delusion crime roles. That's what they have when they say about any color, any opinion, when they say about African American, when they say Caucasian. And see, but then they want to have debates like punk grammar school. This is an organized crime method that was just about that, and that's not let be the topic, because then you have to. They're only letting respect for sensibilities that are fake sides, fake middle. They're not allowing their lies and the delusions through generations demonstrated. They're not allowing the recorded town offices, religious spots, criminally involved, election crime rolls, acts too. They don't take. You see, they put the old women they use for tools against the rest of the old women with this too. There are mandated laws. When someone says they want to report sex crime act, you respond. See, we have WFSB involved now with Fox CT. They, instead of responding to sex crime acts, they're furthering it because they're exploiting how they have a whole bunch of police forms through time, lying to my family, pretend they had conversations with me behind my back. This recorded with people from my town. This has the sensibilities of women recorded criminally foreign influence, lied to, and per what interbranch drug cliques are using through time. So, in other words, and recorded them pretending others are the ones with it, as means to pretend, and with the drugs being used to motivate them to pretend me and other people were in context with them who they never were. We're in conversations, we're in sequence relationships or friendship relationships that never were at all. Because the only context I know them in were their roles recorded making confessions, crime acts roles into what is sustained through recorded criminal uses of the former director of the FBI, Robert Lusk, and his lawyer, other lawyers that we need to get the names of, and other agencies and their family members criminally involved with that corner too. Like when I was coming back from Covington Street to live here in Wethersfield, and leading up to a 2006 case criminally involved with that, since before the Trade Center attack, in the context, and since with the same cliques, interstate and criminally foreign influence, like a DeMauro family, Heather Hansen, recorded, confessed, involved with drug crimes and with child sex offenders, identity theft, crime acts, cliques, that also pretended I was in locations and in conversations with people that weren't at all. Sequence shifts that weren't at all. Behind my back to my sister. Behind my back to my family. Making confessions about her roles with being sexually abused by these people. Involved also, like with, that was a shared sex circle she was in that we used criminally for other database crimes. Other crime acts and cases with judges now with that recorded with crime acts roles with child sex offenders. Two Mendes police that pretended me into fake locations, fake conversations with them. Recorded and confessed involved with interbranch forging names, switching names. Officers did that before that too. Judges that did that. Crime acts roles, identity theft crime acts with KKK themed cliques, Confederate flag themed cliques, recorded and confessed criminally involved with identity theft acts and roles in natures associated with Sammy Vega, some poor exploited kid from Hartford, Connecticut, involved with CCSU crime acts with cases, various natures of courts, criminal justice cliques, undercover police used criminally. Various, then with degenerate family members we have with this one, with these CIA families and fakes, having fake conversations with me, directing fake conversations pretended had between a South Saviello and Kathy Tanzi, associated with the Klotz family, the Klotz brothers and family associated with foreign and domestic military, and the Kerr family and the DeMar family criminally involved with New Britain Superior Court sex crime acts, using their roles with their own federal crime acts, confessions they hid, and then used that time to attach me and my family to fake conversations, to threats recorded, to tortures recorded. But because also them pretend, but using the right to lie criminally. Already invested to that. In other words, as victim predators, we have, those are people reliant upon narratives and people in other natures of industries and stuff like that. People who watch the news and they hear these concepts and They're being led by impressions. They're all sequence shifts. Victim predator tools of. Dishonesty tools of. Mass. And quoting precedents to nonsense, not to the simultaneous nature that was the Constitution unabridged. That was supposed to be our course, but it's bridged. And see, by not admitting it, pretending it's not abridged, is part of the child abuse that never went away. It's a part of how we have we have grammar school arguments, not let demonstrating, stealing people's ability to speak through time, because they're forcing only people speak if they're going to entertain what's framed as fake sides of arguments, fake middle, fake differences, because they're as a means to pretend that they don't realize that there was no interactions before the conflict. They're using everything as sequence shifts, cover-ups, and weapons roles. Forget about it, souls. So they should, WFSB, Fox CT, fix your fake news. If you don't want to be news, we're going to need it in real news now anyways. The New York Game, Burroughs' book, we're coming to look. You should get out of the way. You should follow mandate. Fix your fake news crime acts. Admit you faked them. And arrest. I'm not saying put them in jail. I mean, that's with some of them that you need to. But arrest the people behind the streams of courts that you are putting in jail. And you recorded torturing them there. And those jails are recorded with crime methods, crime acts roles with people on off campuses criminally involved with CCSU, with Normandy Heights, with the apartments, leasing agents, intercity, not just there on Covington Street, not just there, around there. They're all recorded and confessed through time, criminally involved with the suburb of Nigeria. Recorded, confessed, involved victim predator prison cliques, and judges involved criminally with kids and drugs, and with these FBI, former director of the FBI, and his federal criminals, co-defendants involved criminally with a whole bunch of kids in my age growing up with crime acts with databases, identity theft, sequence shift, crime acts roles. See, they're stacking crime acts because they're exploiting systems and positions with intercampuses that are maintained criminally for and influenced in relationship to what is keeping them motivated, needing to hide their life progression cover-up, needing to hide their very natures from correlation natures simultaneously inherent active and progressive means. See Trinity. See George Washington College, how they switched the name. See how they had the crow's nest where they used to shoot down on the slaves left in the north here by George Washington and the French general. Slavery in the north, no, because it was distinct from where it was intercolony, distinctly and non-distinctly sickly, specifically tactically to keep whatever came out of it, whatever leadership would come, which they knew would, killed off and demonstrated into another stage of locking it off, which was consciously the whole time locking everyone into blaming the causes of negative value nature progressions, acts and natures on others. In other words, we have these surface nations with underlying peace connections that were forcing the same database relationships to crazy, crazy laws. Now, if you were heard, these were laws about what you could say. You can't, in other words, if you can't teach a black person to read because it's against the law, if you say that you taught a black person the law, then you're real trouble. Everyone's a beat down slave, fact-checking nature slave. Not one person wasn't. They put it sickly distinctly against black people to hide how sickly non-distinctly against everyone, and to cultivate pseudo counters to that. Like equality is, when equality, unless you're equality unless you're going with the referring to the tactically denatured relationship to nature. See, and then if you're doing that, that's the best way to do it, because that shows even the suburbs are tactically denatured, and that's causing negative value nature progressions in acts and natures. Because all formal is blaming out other and others and other things on selves, and not by accident. And so, of course, it's going to cause negative value nature progressions, acts and natures when you have it overtly, tactically, criminally denatured and urban pathology. Even in Russia here, same force, China, same force against Mao Zedong, same force everywhere. Forced shared policing, fake identities of nations through that. States and areas inclusion through that. Fake integrity. And that was invested in stages to now modern nations incapable of defending themselves and us at the same time. As fact-cheating nature, where and how it counts. Forgiveness was for this. Who lift each fist? No, for real, it only feels like game. Who train? The Burroughs game. The Burroughs book returns. Who learns? Now follow mandated law. Fix the fake news. WFSB, Fox CT. WTNH also recorded criminally foreign influence through evidence crime rolls. Also recorded confessed crime rolls with evidence reception bodies. Interbranch. And these were as crime acts rolls with further recorded Trade Center crime acts with the clicks already proven tied to a sequence shift in the Ninth Circuit. Further recorded and confessed crimes with a Scalora family, with other interbranch families with crime acts with kids through time. Hey! It only feels like game. Who train? The Burroughs book. Who look? Don't trick yourselves. It's time. Before Halloween, watch the video on that. So we can get going, because then we have the Trinity's relationship to itself. We have the nations to heal, the species course, the way. Who disbelieves? They forge names and switch names. That's why we need response. It's illegal to forge names and switch names and to fake things to prevent people from demonstrating abuses of kids, juxtaposed natures. So juxtaposed natures of roles and families with that. They can't follow the law now because they attach me to fake conversations, interbranch, private tied to them, and through time. And military involved with it too. And overt criminal enterprises tied criminal insidious natures acts recorded. They're also criminally pretending they don't understand the evidences. They're saying, oh, well, let me see the evidences. They're making up evidences. That's recorded. That's evidences. They know that. So their very words are evidences. But they're preventing, that's why they're forging names and switching names. Because they can't respond now because they're caught. They're caught. Fix the fake news, CT. Let's go! CNN, too. They pretend I yelled to people, too. Because they're recorded using crime methods, keeping passions in the hand of sick fakes who keep everything overall and pretend people are making allegations. Recorded, too, because they're forging names to do that. Faking conversations to do that. Sequence shifting to do that. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Hurry up now. Hurry up now. I'll show you how to deal with men and women child offenders. Recorded. Recorded. Further recorded.